We got to get our technology together. I love this.
I just had my camera off for a bit so that I could add you. So I think we're live now. Hey everyone, how are you? This is Aisha McCoy with the Law Office of Aisha McCoy, and I am joined by my friend and colleague and wellness practitioner, Casey Cromer. And today we are going to host a webinar on using therapeutic movements to relieve divorce anxiety. So we are happy to continue our series in our yoga wellness practices. We really hope that these practices can support individuals with mental wellness during divorce. Again, my name is Aisha McCoy. I am a family law and wills and trust attorney here in Austin, Texas. We specialize in providing people within our community with the guidance, tools, and resources for their family law matters. But we also place an emphasis on transitioning families into new expressions of their relationships in a very healthy and mindful way. So I'm happy to introduce my partner, Casey Cromer. I mentioned earlier that he is a yoga wellness professional and practitioner. And in this conversation of yoga wellness practices, he designs it in such a way that it's accessible and practical for a family or families who are going through the divorce process and other family structural changes, such as co-parenting after divorce. The purpose of this seminar and all our other seminars is to provide some general information to the community about divorce. We will be hosting monthly, for now, virtual seminars about specific topics on divorce. Our goal is to shift the collective perspective when it comes to divorce from a process that can be very traumatic to one that can actually be very transformative. Divorce is it's a very difficult process, and just know that there are ways to cope in a very powerful way that creates more possibilities for wellness, more so than negative outcomes. So with that said, I encourage you guys to please visit our Instagram bios, A McCoy at Law and Yoga Wellness by Casey, that's Kasey, for links to our other wellness resources and webinars. Just know we're also recording each of these sessions so that our viewers can tune in whenever it's convenient for them. And we also hope to form a community within the participants of our seminars. We all hope that you guys come back and connect with each other. So during this webinar on wellness practices during divorce, we have discussed and experienced various practices to equip our audience with creating a personal practice that serves as a supportive container for divorce. Our topics and practices range from intention setting, thought and breath awareness techniques, sound practices, and creating a personal wellness space to cultivate self-care at home. Casey, can you reintroduce yourself and just share a summary of how these practices work together for mental, physical, emotional well-being, and also feel free to provide any new insights just based on your own experience with these practices and how you've used these practices with your own clients.
Thank you so much, Aisha, for just um, co-hosting these webinars. I think it's so important. And just for the audience, my name is Casey, and I am the CEO and Chief Instructor of Yoga Wellness by Casey. I have such a passion. Why I decided to specialize in this industry is because I have such a passion for people. And really, it goes back to my own internal work first. So, with me in the world of yoga, I've been practicing yoga and areas of yoga and meditation wellness for over 9 years. And really, what got me into yoga and what continues to get me into keep deepening my practices is just the ability to continue to be with change and very difficult changes. And where I met Aisha in Austin, Aisha is also such a strong advocate for people, especially in the area of divorce, one of our areas of specialties. And we found in our collaboration, there's a real opportunity to combine our tools, experiences, and practices to really start to broaden the conversation to all of you. So we're really excited about it. So, as she stated earlier, Aisha, really, some of the techniques that have been so groundbreaking for myself is how she started the webinar. Really, is all we had a whole conversation around intention setting, and in intention setting, it's so important because it really serves whether you are going into a formal yoga, meaning the physical practices of yoga or meditation, where you really start to go back to center. Like, why are we here? And intentions is such a always an easy starting point for myself in my own personal practice throughout the years, and also when I share in the areas of corporations. I've had the opportunity to work with different entrepreneurial type organizations in a call center environment to bring it to call center agents who had high level stress interactions with customers and suppliers, as well as the one-on-one practice work, which is probably my most favorite type of work because you really get to deep dive into the conversation with individuals and give them tools. I should mention some of the webinars we had already, right? Like sound practices and breath awareness. Like there's a lot of tools. And I think for myself as a practitioner who've had the opportunity to work with different yoga teachers and practices, what I believe to be important is if what resonates for you in a moment, deepen and connect with it. And that's something as we go into introducing a new tool and new practice around therapeutic body movement to really understand that it's not necessary to specialize, and that's something I continue to learn as I enrich my own practices, to specialize in everything because we're in a busy world, right? So if you try to do all the techniques, you'll be practicing for hours. And I can just say from my own personal experience, that is something that I actually tried to do. I remember a time where I really tried to deepen like 7 or 8 different practices, Aisha, and I was like, this is taking forever. And it stopped being really deep. It started being more of a laboring. So really, as we talk about what it means to bring balance and really the subject matter really centered around divorce, and for those who are just dealing with rapid change, we're really just starting to talk about how do you take certain tools that resonate with your techniques or practices and really bring them into the moment of your life that makes it accessible for you to get space in whatever the situation is. And I think for myself, for example, especially now in the midst of still going through the wildness of the pandemic and all these other pieces of the world that's constantly changing and the accessibility of information as we move through our day, what I can say is in my own personal practices I've seen, as well as those who I work with in spaces of virtual and in person, it gives space. And what I mean by giving space, sometimes when you're very stressed and really talking about anxiety during divorce, it feels kind of tight. And tight looks like the unwillingness to see another person's point of view. Tightness can be the inability to really think clearly because your mind is all foggy. And literally, as we go into what we're here today, is the tightness and constriction of the body. So we're really going to talk into how the body is a great communicator, is also a tool of the body to give yourself space in divorce. What are your thoughts on what I just shared? Anything resonates for you, Aisha?
Yes, no, I think that everything that you said is great and beautiful. I would really love for you to help us dive into the practices and just talk about, I guess talk about the stats. Actually, before we get into the practices, I really wanted to talk about the topic of anxiety and some of the stats regarding the ways anxiety plagues us as individual is a plague to us individuals on a day-to-day basis. So tell me a little bit more about how this is such an issue, and then we can talk. I think that at that point we can talk about how the practices can alleviate this sort of widespread issue.
Absolutely. So So what really, I started formally going into the work with companies and individuals in 2015, and one of the most consistent issues that people encounter in their personal experience is really how do I deal with anxiety in my workplace? How do I deal with anxiety in my relationships? How do I deal with anxiety when my kids are driving me crazy? Those are some of the most wild things. The kids are wonderful, right? But this is a constant dance between the word of anxiety and stress and depression, all these
Yes.
wild things. And what I must also say as we go through some of the data, again, depending on where you are and who you are set up chemically or biologically, when I'm not saying by any means that this is the only thing that you should be doing to relieve anxiety. I will say that it is definitely an important part of self-care that anyone, if they're open to it, consider being in these practices of yoga. So for example, when just talking about anxiety, when I was researching and connecting in for my clients, one of the things I found is a 2020 survey talked about that 62% of respondents reported experiencing some degree of anxiety. 62%,
Wow.
right? And I think it's really a
Almost
universal
like everyone.
conversation. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anyone that will ever say that they have never experienced it, right? So that's something that is kind of a universal conversation that's coming on. And also, an estimated 31% of all adults will experience an anxiety disorder at some point in their life. So that is still a high number. And it kind of makes sense when we're so kind of bumping into each other, both now virtually and in person, with all these different ways of interacting with each other, these different subcultures within culture, and the different, I would say what brings up a lot of anxiety is how we are in human relationships and how we are in what we're dealing with rapid change. And I'll just add this last piece, and I definitely want to hear Aisha's thoughts on the data. It is estimated that 264 million adults around the globe have anxiety, and that's from the World Health Organization. So I think with all this said, there's definitely a trend of a lot of us dealing with mental health challenges, whether it's like clinically diagnosed or even if it's just being in this space of the world as we are
Yeah.
today. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts on that,
there's
Aisha?
Oh, absolutely. I think that, there are folks who are inherently just have a lot of anxiety, and then there are others whose anxiety is triggered by situational changes. And divorce is certainly one of those situations where folks experience a ton of anxiety. I had a consult with a client who is in the middle of a very contentious divorce with his wife. On top of that, they have a young special needs child who requires so much care. So, on top of the grief that my client is experiencing from the separation, he's also having to adjust to having this child by himself much of the time. And this situational change has given him so much anxiety. He's reported loss of sleep, even anxiety attacks. So, so these numerous these life changes that are triggered by divorce, they create a great amount of anxiety. This anxiety of the unknown about what your life will look like once the divorce is over. It's been a predominating expression amongst all my clients. So I think it's great that we're having this dialogue today on how to find ways to manage that.
Definitely, and I love that example, and that's the example that Aisha shared right now. Our lives is very few people that I've ever met that lives are not complex, meaning there's different needs of an individual that they have to create in the world and support, whether it is you have your partner or child or your parent of a special needs child. It is just really such an opportunity to what does it look like to bring some natural, holistic practices into our daily moments. Actually, I can tell you there's also a trend of other things that we use that are just not always helpful. And I would say definitely yoga and the body is something that's really, really important as it relates to using the body as a way to create therapy. And what makes it therapeutic movement, I think it's important to talk about that too. When you see it in the title, right? It's when we use and from a yoga perspective, when we use any technique or practice as a way to engage the stress, the anxiety, or any perceived trauma of your ecosystem that is yourself. So whether it's on the layer of the physical piece of your body, which is your physical piece of who you are, which is your body, the mental piece or the emotional piece, is like you're bringing in these tools as a way to calm and soften and really bring back balance, especially when it comes to the body. One of the greatest indicators of anxiety is you tend to tighten. The body
Mhm.
literally tenses
Yes.
up, or
Uh,
the heartbeat starts to happen, or there is panting and sweating is also a form of anxiety. Any thoughts on that, Aisha?
oh yeah, yes. I mean, just even as, as a single mother, having to go from the day to day, like I'll notice that my shoulders will creep up. Before I started doing these practices, the practices do help alleviate a lot of this. But before, I was really well in tune with wellness and being mindful about the way I moved through my days. I was just tensing up all the time. My shoulders would just naturally rise up to my ears, and I would grip my teeth to the point where my jaw would ache at the end of the day. Just all the tension and the stress, the anxiety of having to juggle so many things and adjust to all the different changes that are going on from in my day to day, because nothing is static, right? It's not, and as a mother, you're not only just dealing with the changes within yourself, but you're also dealing with the changes that are going on with your own children. So yes, let's talk about the practices. Let's talk about how therapeutic movements, and we're not talking about exercise. Exercise is well and great, and it is a very great way to cope with a lot of day-to-day anxiety. But therapeutic movements is much more, I guess, it's less involved in the sense that you don't have to it doesn't require you having to sweat. It doesn't require you having to put on your workout clothes and go to the gym. It's something that is actually quite simple and very doable on a day-to-day basis. What do you think, Casey?
Yeah, so as we get ready to go into a practice, I am going to encourage those who are ready to practice. We're going to get started in a couple of minutes, is to get into a comfortable seat. And I'm first going to really set the intention of this practice and really go into a little bit deeper
Perfect.
of
I will
what
turn my
Aisha's
camera
referring
off.
to.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I
Okay,
just don't
no,
want anyone to
yes,
watch me meditate. So I will turn my camera off so that you can lead us through this beautiful practice. Sound good?
yes,
Awesome.
sounds
Okay.
perfect.
All right, you take the lead, Casey.
Great. So, everyone, as we go into really diving into more of what Aisha talked about in terms of therapeutic movement in an actual practice, go ahead and get into a comfortable seat. You can be seated on the floor or in a chair and allow yourself to close your eyes for a moment and just observe the breath going in and out of the body. And just allow with each inhale breath, just taking in what I'm sharing in terms of the intention of this particular practice, which is to really tune yourself into the body for a moment. And as you're tuning into the body, just watch the flow of the air as it moves in and out, just with awareness, not looking to shift anything. And as we are looking to first get connected to the body with our breath, allow yourself to be in this space that the breath is going to be a tool for you, a tool that's going to be used as a resource to move tension. And tension is something Aisha mentioned. Tension, as one of my teachers, my Jaya, talked about, really is the doorway for karmic for patterns that we go through, whether it's anxiety patterns or stressful patterns. And we're looking as a part of the intention as you allow the breath to flow in and out of the space of the heart for a moment. We're allowing ourselves to see within the practice of the movement with awareness as a way to split the tension. So as you're exhaling each time out of the heart, allow yourself to soften into the intention of splitting the tension. And just know as you're flowing in and out of the space of the heart with the breath, that the splitting of the tension is going to give you space to break apart the anxiety, the stress, the uncertainty, the negativity. So over the next 3 deep inhales and 3 deep exhales into the space of the heart, allow yourself with the fullness of the inhale. Once you're full of air, just to hold it there for a moment. And then exhale through your mouth as if you're fogging up a mirror. And make it as slow as you can as a way to soften and relax. And just do it 2 more times as you inhale into the space of the heart, taking a full inhale. And then once you're full of air, hold that breath there for a moment. And with the most focused attention, exhale out through the mouth, fogging up a mirror, softening into the body. Now make this the deepest inhale breath into the space of the heart, making this the fullest inhale breath, really connecting in. And then hold it at the top. And then exhale all the air out completely. And just breathing normally, allow your head to drop to your chin, to your chest. And then just do neck rolls going one direction, just breathing in slow neck rolls, gentle breaths, really in the connection of your neck rolls. See if you can loosen up any tightness that you're holding in your neck. And the next time your chin meets your chest, hold it there, pausing with your head bowing forward. And just take a deep inhale breath into the back of the neck, creating length. Deep exhale breath, softening the shoulders away from the ears. Now roll, gentle neck rolls going the opposite direction. And really the intention of this part of using your body as therapy is to really start to loosen up any tightness around the neck that's connected to the spine, the upper part of the spine. Taking a deep inhale breath, then exhale breath, sitting up tall. Now do gentle shoulder rolls going forward with your breath. Just breathing in and out, just creating the shoulder rolls. And really start to see and feel your shoulders softening with each exhale breath. Wherever you are, pause and reverse the shoulder rolls, going back. And as you're going back and reversing the movement of your shoulders, notice anything different that comes up for you with the shift in body rotation. Not making it mean anything, just an observation of how the body responds with this change. Take a deep inhale together, then exhale, settling your shoulders away from your ears. Inhale, turning, sitting up as tall as you can, turning to your right thigh. And then exhale, let's just do body rolls, going one direction. And now we're doing gentle body rolls where we're hinging at our waist, rotating one direction. It's as if you're making a circle on the roof, on the ceiling from the top of your head, just rolling your body, leaning in and forward, and then rotating back. And wherever you are, pause and just rotate going the opposite direction. And just notice as you shift, going the opposite direction, how does it feel within the body to make this shift happen? Taking a deep inhale together, then exhale, sitting up as tall as you can. Now inhale your hands to the sky. Bring your palms together, looking to your palms. Exhale, bringing your hands all the way down, resting on your thighs, palms turned up. And we're just going to do that 2 more times. Inhale, bring your hands up, wide, palms touching over your head, looking to your palms touching. Exhale, bring the palms all the way down and rotate where your palms are resting on your thighs. And then one more time, make this a deepest inhale breath. Bring your palms up, hands up overhead, looking to your palms. And this time, exhale, your palms on either side. And relaxing your palms facing up. And if your eyes are open, close them again. And begin to breathe into the space of the heart. And just notice with the initial movement of the body, with awareness, how the body feels. And as you're breathing into the space of the heart, just do a body scan slowly with each breath up from the bottom of your feet and rise with awareness all the way up to the top of your head. And now you're just doing a gentle body scan using the breath and awareness just to notice, to observe if there's any tension or tightness or stiffness in any parts of your body. And as you exhale with this body scan part of the practice, use the exhale breath to soften. Soften the bone, soften the muscle, even see if you can soften your skin. Now breathe in the fullness of your body for a moment. Taking an inhale breath, really feeling the breath connect to your entire body, from your feet all the way to the top of your head. And then as you exhale, soften a little bit deeper into your seat. And as you're breathing in and out, connecting to the body, we're going to move to the last part of our physical body therapy practice of tensing and relaxing the body. So as you slowly inhale the breath into the body, begin to tighten, curling your toes, tightening your entire body, including your face on the inhale breath. And as you exhale, relaxing the whole body, dropping your chin to your chest. And do this 2 more times on the inhale breath, inhaling, slowly tensing the entire body, feeling the energy draw into the body. And then exhale, releasing, dropping your chin to your chest. And then make this the deepest inhale breath, really connecting it into the body, and begin to tense the entire body from the feet to the top of the head. And make this the deepest exhale breath, softening, dropping your chin to your chest. And then allow your head to come to neutral again with your chin parallel to the floor and become as still as you can. And just begin to breathe into the space of the heart again, growing in awareness back at the space of the heart. And first you just notice doing a check-in to see how your body feels with this breath practice at this moment. And make this your intention of being as still as possible where nothing moves. And on the next inhale breath, really bring it to the focus of your heart. And as you exhale, mentally say, split the tension. And really feel yourself on the exhale, letting go of anything that really doesn't support you in the moment. And let's do it again, taking a deep inhale breath into the space of the heart, the deepest inhale as you can. And as you exhale, just mentally say, split the tension. And really just let it go even a bit more, going deeper into those spaces that feel a little bit caught, stuck. And make this the deepest inhale breath, connecting into the space of the heart as you can. And once you're at the top of the inhale breath, hold it there for a moment. Even take another sip. And with awareness and care and focus, exhale as slow as you can, mentally saying, split the tension, exhaling it all out. Now return to normal breathing in and out of the space of the heart. And then slowly bring your palms to your heart in prayer, really representing I'm looking to create wholeness, balance, equanimity in my life. And then bowing chin to chest. And then come to a comfortable seated position. And as slow as you can, with mindfulness, open your eyes. And you can come to relaxed seats. And as we come to relaxed seats, and only when Aisha's ready, she can just share just a bit of her experience with the therapeutic movement and the breath practice.
That was beautiful, very cathartic. Uh, I had mentioned, or I had inferred a little while ago that we tend to contain a lot of stress within our bodies. It gets stuck in there. And we carry this tension around with us, and it affects our minds as it affects our bodies, yes, but it also affects our minds. And this movement, this practice, is a great way to release that tension that we're holding inside. Therefore, paving way for a much more clear mind, and and that clarity is what we really need to maintain our mental wellness, especially during big life changes like divorce or uh, adjusting from from going from one fit relationship dynamic to another. And repetitive movement can also, it brings us to the state of mindfulness, but it really gives our bodies this chance to press the reset button and kick in our natural healing and renewal processes. And this rhythmic movement, this therapeutic movement is very healing. It helps, I think it really helps integrate our minds with our bodies. Again, like resetting that nervous system and rewiring our brains for healing and wholeness. So thank you, Casey. This is a great way to, a very simple practice that is very doable, and something that we can incorporate on a day to on the day to day. I would probably try to do this or reserve maybe 10 minutes in the morning, if preferably more, but most of the time we're, in the mornings we're really rushed. But I feel like 10-15 minutes uh, at once the alarm goes off in the morning, I think that would be one of the best times to reset your body, or even right before bed. That would be at the end of the day when you have all that stress built up in the body. This would be a great way to relieve that negative energy and clear the mind. What do you think, Casey?
Love the share. I love the share, Aisha. And what I really, a couple of things that you said that are very amazing and really pay attention to, I recommend for our listeners is it really is a bridge. And she mentioned a bridge from relationship to relationship. And how I look at relationships too is not only the relationships outside of yourself, but the relationship with yourself, because there's so many layers to who we are. So meaning that you're going to have moments where, because we're all human, where you have extreme anxiety and stress. And what does it look like to hold space for yourself with these practices? And certain things that Aisha said are just great in terms of having the intention of practicing 10 minutes a day. And I would say these movements are simple where you can literally practice them in the moment. So if you're in the midst of some extreme stress, you can be standing. You don't have to be seated. You can do all these practices even standing tall on your feet. So it can literally be body therapy on the go. That's how quick they are and how great they are.
We love portability in our, our ever-changing, quick-moving society. So that's extremely useful. So what are some key points to remember when we're integrating these therapeutic movements into our daily day-to-day practices?
So one of the main things is to remember the breath. So the breath is an amazing tool that will work with all the practices, and you really should look to work with the practices, right? So the breath with the movement is essential, meaning that the exhale breath can be used, and I recommend be used as a way to soften and let go and release. And another thing that's really important too is the practice of when you get still enough and quiet enough and the body is settled into itself, that breath connection with the affirmation of split the tension on the exhale. Because literally when you get still enough and the body gets out of the way, that split the tension serves as a way for you to start to move things out. Almost like you're doing energetic surgery, removing the things that don't really matter, right? That don't serve you anymore. And although we didn't have a lot of time for this, I always recommend taking a few minutes after you do all the different work, including split the tension, to sit in silence for a moment. Because in silence, there is so much inspiration, connection, next steps within the silence. And even if you're not a writer, taking some notes based on the experience in the silence that really guides your next steps. Taking some good notes and journaling is really, really important. So those are really what I have to share in terms of this particular practice I think would be really good for next steps for everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Casey. Thank you so much for leading us through these practices and showing us how therapeutic movements can help maintain our mental wellness during divorce. You know, as I mentioned earlier in this webinar, divorce can be seen as very traumatic for a lot of folks, but these practices, all our practices, can help change your perspective to where you see the process as a much more transformative one. And it's so important for people who are going through the divorce to recognize the need for self-care. I know that some folks are like, what's self-care? What is that? They can only see it's hard to see through the fog, but recognizing that how important it is to put the oxygen mask on yourself, it will enable you to be available for your loved ones, namely your own children, and for you to find peace in your day-to-day life. So thank you everyone again for joining us today. Thank you so much, my dear friend and colleague, Casey Cromer. Thank you for joining us in this discussion on therapeutic movement as a way to maintain our mental well-being during divorce. Again, please know that if you did not catch this seminar live, then it will be available to you on our firm's YouTube channel as well as through our Instagram. If you search for the Law Office of Aisha McCoy on YouTube, you will catch this video as well as our other mental health seminars. You can also follow us at A McCoy at Law on Instagram, and you can also follow my colleague Yoga at Casey. I'm sorry, Yoga Wellness by Casey, and that's Casey with the Kasey for more tips on finding ways to cope with divorce and maintain your mental wellness through the use of yoga wellness practices. So thank you, my friends, for joining us. Thank you, Casey. And we will see you
Thank
guys
you.
next month for
All
our next
right, see you.
for our next webinar. And we will be just follow us on Instagram and we will announce what that next seminar is going to be. So thank you so much, everyone. Take care.
Bye.